You know, now that I think about it, I believe there is both an upside and a downside to being perpetually broke. The upside is, or the downside rather, is that you don't get to do things. You don't get to experience things because you're broke. But the upside is, it could potentially be a blessing in disguise that you don't subject yourself to such certain experiences. Case in point, last week, I wanted to go see the Interstellar 5555 4K remaster. For those of you who don't know, Interstellar 5555, the secret of the, or the sound of the secret star system, is what it's called. It's essentially, it's okay. So you guys remember the film clip, the music video for what it's called? It's essentially, it's okay. So you guys remember the film clip, the music video for One More Time by Daft Punk, and also Harder, Better, Faster, Stronger. They're both with the anime. They're both anime ones with like an alien, a blue-skinned alien band playing music, and then Harder, Better, Faster, Stronger as they get. Yeah, basically, it was a movie. It was a movie. The entire album Discovery, which is one of the best freaking albums of all time, was set to this hour-long like no dialogue, basically a music video slash silent movie. That was done by Toei Animation. I don't know if he was actually involved, but it was directly inspired by Leiji Matsumoto, who's a legendary punk. Drew inspiration, like Captain Harlock from the 1970s, very popular anime, legendary anime, that they directly drew inspiration from for the art for the film, and the sort of the aesthetic of the film and everything about it was directly inspired by Captain Harlock and Leiji Matsumoto. I can't remember if he was actually involved in the film, but he was the inspiration behind it. So this film came out in 2001 when Discovery came out, and it's awesome. Like the movie, it's only 60 minutes long, so it's such a great visual experience that I urge you to seek it out wherever you can. Now, they decided to remaster it in 4K and release it in cinemas last week. This was worldwide. December 12th, but some countries got it for longer as well. Turns out it is the most offensive, egregious, absolutely torn to shreds piece of shit in existence, because they decided to upscale it using AI, and it's awful. I've actually seen visuals of it. It looks absolutely awful. They've completely butchered it, and it just doesn't feel like the same film. You could probably see it and completely turn your brain off and think, okay, I'll listen to it for the music, but honestly, don't bother trying to seek it out if you still can. You could probably go find the original, like I think 2003. They released it on DVD. If you could version like that original DVD print, or like I said, I think I said this last time, there are other ways you could view this film in its original 480p form, and I'm not going to personally recommend them to you, lest I get arrested for potentially starting something. Let's just leave it at that. But anyway, you can find the original. It's in 480p because it was released in 2001. So obviously, but it's still the best way to view it. So go watch the original. The 4K remaster is an absolute pile of crap. Don't watch it, and I'm glad I didn't. I was going to go see it, and after reading everything about it and seeing actual visuals, so this isn't just me reading whatever off the internet. I've actually seen honest to God visuals from this film. They have, I don't know what they've done to it. Seeing actual visuals, so this isn't just me reading whatever off the internet. I've actually seen, honest to God, visuals from this film. They have, I don't know what they've done to it. They've obviously an AI that does not know what it's doing, which is most AI really don't know what they're doing, but this one especially. It sucks. And there's a couple of ways that this is ironic. One, the movie is about a band getting kidnapped and commodified and monetized and basically exploited for the personal gain of music executives who turn out to be ancient religious zealots or some, I don't know what the hell their true purpose was. It's really confusing, but yeah, like evil music producers I don't know what the hell their true purpose was. It's really confusing, but yeah, like evil music producers who kidnapped this alien band, forcibly turned them into, like, made them look like humans, which is what Harder, Better, Faster, Stronger is, and commodified them for their own personal gain. That's irony number one. Irony number two, Daft Punk originally retired because they said they feared their music was basically going to be exploited by AI, and they didn't want to turn into machines, which in itself is ironic because their entire gimmick is that they are robots, but that's beside the point. So that's the biggest piece of irony about this. It goes completely against the message of the film, and it goes completely against the message of the creators. That's another trash. And probably why it's ill-advised that there's an anime coming out in 2025, which is 95% AI created. And again, I've seen the trailer for it. I don't know if you've seen that. I don't know the name of the show. It's some romance show. It's about these two girls or twins or whatever. But the trailer is all in AI. Apparently, the entire anime, or 95% of that series, will be done using AI. Again, don't know why. But whatever. What do I know? I'm not a Japanese anime producer. Anyway, welcome to Episode 2 of the OTAKU MANFAILURE podcast. My name is DYNE. Welcome to the channel if you haven't been here already. Welcome to the podcast if this is the first time you're seeing it. I just wanted to get that out of the way because I feel like it's a very important point, and also recommending a great film. And also, pretty sure I'm pretty sure all of the music of the album have got music videos because of the film. So maybe you could, even if you can't find the complete film, you could still find the music videos and piece them together into a film if you know the track order. Whatever. Great film. Go watch it. Interstellar 5555. The Sound of the Secret Star System. That's my recommendation for this week. Go watch Interstellar. Not Christopher Nolan's Interstellar. That's a little bit worse. Go watch Daft Punk's Interstellar. It's much better. So, the reason I wasn't here last week, I didn't do the podcast last week, so this is the first episode in a fortnight, because I was really, really sick. I think my pedestal fan blew out my dried up my sinuses completely. I think my pedestal fan blew out dried up my sinuses completely. My sinuses were completely shot, and it was one of those cases where I was like, do I do the podcast? Do I keep it short? And then I eventually decided no, because I'm going to sound gross. I'm just going to be like very mucusy and just awful, and I can't be doing that for a podcast. I'm sounding a lot better now. I don't think I'm 100%, but I'm sounding a lot better. So that's great. That's why I wasn't here last week. So there's that. I was going to talk about the Game Awards. I was going to be predicting, because I was doing it before the Friday, so I was predicting it was mainly going to be predictions and what I thought. But now that it's actually, the Game Awards has happened, we can talk about it, act properly, and other stuff. But today we're talking about the Game Awards. Now, the Game Awards were actually okay. I wasn't completely... I usually go into these like Game Awards, Summer Games Fest, even Gamescom, basically anything that Jeff Keighley touches. I go into it with no expectations, with just a whole bunch of cynicism, because that's just me as a video game fan. None of this is for me. Like, I like weird, very specific types of games, and the Western gaming market typically does not cater to that. Typically. That's why I'm more into Tokyo Game Show, because I know there's going to be games that I will more likely play, even though they don't do like direct or like proper presentations for like here's games coming out, bam 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 bam, like, you know, they don't do that for Tokyo. There's going to be games that I will more likely play, even though they don't do like direct or like proper presentations for like here's games coming out, bam 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 bam, like, you know, they don't do that for Tokyo Game Show. It's just a bunch of like people talking in Japanese about stuff, or about games, certain games, or about games that have already come out, or games that are close to coming out. They don't do it like what Western presentations do, where there's a bunch of cool announcements for stuff. You might get a Nintendo Direct around that time, or a PlayStation. Like, they typically do the PlayStation showcase or a Nintendo Direct around TGS, which is like in September. So yeah, there's that to look forward to. But they don't do like for the very specific developers and the games that I'm looking forward to. But this year, the Game Awards was actually okay. It was fun. It wasn't like a complete blowout. It was fun. It wasn't like a complete blowout. And furthermore, it might have gone some way to addressing some issues that the gaming industry has had. And I'll get into that. So first, let's talk about the winners, shall we? Let's go down the list, or go up the list, essentially. Let's talk about some of the winners. I think we'll start with probably the best thing that happened at the Game Awards, the most inspiring thing, just the most wholesome thing that happened, and that was the announcement of the Game Changer Award. So I think this is going to be an annual thing. They're just going to give away an award to somebody who's like, hey, the gaming industry is pretty shit right now. Let's fix it. Let's find a way to fix it. Let's do what executives aren't doing, and let's fix the games industry in our own little way. And for the first Game Changer Award, they basically said, hey, the games industry is kind of shit right now. Executives are being a bunch of dirty shitters, firing people when they shouldn't have to. I'm going to make a job network for people to get into game developers who are looking for jobs, and people who are looking to get into game development. And basically he had like a spreadsheet that had, okay, here's all these companies, here's their job listings, here's their websites. Here's this website you can go to that's got job openings and some skills you learn, upskilling, and basically ways to get your foot in the door, right? So basically an entire job network for game development, game design. Freaking awesome idea. Fantastic idea. The problem is, and a lot of other people said this as well, it's great that he's done this thing because executives are being a bunch of dirty shitters, firing people when they don't have to. Jeff Keighley actually brought it up. He said there's been a ton of layoffs. He didn't specifically say executives are being a bunch of dirty shitters. I'm saying that right now. But yes, this is a thing that has happened. We have to find ways to get around it. There's also another thing I want to bring up, but I'm going to bring it up later. That sort of is on this issue as well. But I'm going to bring that up later in this section. So, and he had the most wholesome speech ever. He was just a nice man, just a really nice, great guy, and the games industry needs more of him. So, well done to you for doing the things you've done, because because ultimately it's all about the people that make the games. because you're really, because ultimately it's all about the people that make the games. And without them, the games don't exist. So thank you for that. Well done to our game changer. And hopefully this will be a thing going forward. Okay, Content Creator of the Year, Queso. Congratulations. Doing it, repping big men, big fat streamer men everywhere. In case I am one of those people. So thank you for representing us. You've done us proud. Probably the funniest. I don't actually watch that much of Queso. I watch like clips and stuff, but I'm not a regular viewer. But I do love the when people send him messages on PlayStation. He's playing like Fall Guys or something, and there's just people send him messages that are just like fat puns or just fat jokes, and he just goes nuts. I only think it's funny. While being a fat man myself, I think fat jokes are funny. I don't find them offensive. I'm at that point where I'm like, it feels kind of sucky that I'm the way I am, because I can't like buy clothes and stuff, but I don't specifically believe in fat shaming unless it's like really explicit. But if it's just casual ha-has, that's fine. I don't show my face on camera, but that's a different matter altogether. That's more of an anxiety thing. It's not necessarily because I'm a big man. And because of Queso, I'll probably be less ashamed to put myself on camera in the future, should I decide to. Because it's cool. It's in vogue now. Thank you, Queso, for making that happen. Most anticipated game, Grand Theft Auto 6. Who cares? I sure as hell don't. It's cool. It's in vogue now. Thank you, Queso, for making that happen. Most anticipated game, Grand Theft Auto 6. Who cares? I sure as hell don't. Best adaptation, Fallout. This was a surprise. I honestly thought it was going to go to Arcane, but hey, Fallout must be really good. I've got Amazon Prime. Maybe I should watch it. I don't care about Arcane because fuck League of Legends. I don't want anything to do. I won't touch anything League of Legends related with the 10-foot pole. I don't care how good it is. If it's got that label on it, I don't care. Probably should watch Fallout, even though I don't really care about Fallout either. But apparently it's really good. Walton Goggins was also really good in it. Best multiplayer, Helldivers 2. Helldivers 2 also won the best ongoing game, which is weird because, yes, it started off fantastically. It just came out of the gate like, whoa, this is awesome. It was like the game on everyone's lips. But didn't he fall to shit at some point? I don't understand. That's the general murmuring I'm hearing, is that it's just not that great a game anymore, or something happened to the meta. But apparently it's still good enough that it got recognized, so well done. Best sports and racing, EA Sports FC. This one was really confusing. Is FC 25 good? I don't know. Ever since I've just heard it's terrible. FC has been terrible ever since EA split off from FIFA and made their own game. Apparently it sucks. Maybe 25 is good. I voted for WWE only because it's the only game I'm sort of familiar with. Best Sim Strategy, Frostpunk 2. I don't know what that is. Best Fighting, Tekken 8. Now, a lot of Tekken people got confused because apparently Tekken 8's meta has also crapped itself. Tekken fan. That's my fighting game. Played a lot of Tekken 7. Enjoyed it a lot. I'll get into Tekken 8 eventually, when I eventually get it for the PS5. Okay, we'll talk about... the major games I'll leave to the end. Batman Arkham Shadow won Best VR AR. Okay, whatever. Community support went to Baldur's Gate, which, yeah, makes sense. Games for Impact, Neva. Neva is apparently a beautiful game. I actually wanted to play it because it just looks gorgeous. It looks like just a tearjerker game. I want to play it. I really want to play Neva. Innovation and Accessibility, Prince of Persia. I don't really know much about this category because I'd have to actually research each of the nominees and figure out what they're doing in accessibility. people who need it. Maybe Prince of Persia did something. I don't actually know. But congratulations to Prince of Persia for winning an award. Apparently it's actually a really good game. Performance. Senua's Saga Hellblade 2 won a couple of awards for audio design. Apparently sound or just audio in general is really integral to the experience of Hellblade. I know the first one won the Games for Impact because it was really, there's a very positive message for mental health. The whole game was about mental health and that sort of stuff. But apparently audio was really integral to the Hellblade experience. So I guess that makes sense. It won audio design. And Melina Juergens, who played Senua, won for best performance. I voted for Brianna White, who voices Aerith in FF7. Brianna White, who voices Aerith in FF7. But hey, again, Hellblade, it's a really dramatic game as well. So, great performances. Speaking of FF7, best score in music. That makes sense. I think it's not necessarily playing off the music from the original game, because that was what Remake was. Rebirth is a whole bunch of new stuff. But a great team got together and designed this music off of Yamatsu's work, and it's great. Great music. Haven't played either of the remake games because, again, not really bothered. Even though I enjoy Final Fantasy VII, but it's, over the years I've realized it's not my favorite Final Fantasy game. My favorite Final Fantasy game is Chrono Trigger, but that's a thing for another day. Okay, alright, let's get into the big one. There are 4 games I want to talk about, and the 4 games that pretty much won everything else. Okay, firstly, Black Myth Wukong. It won Best Action Game. It won... what else did it win? It won a couple of awards. Black Myth Wukong. Pretty sure it won something... Oh, yeah, it also won the... Player's Voice, which I'm pissed. Fuck you, Black Myth Wukong. You stole that award from Zenless Zone Zero. No, just kidding. But I really wanted Zenless Zone Zero to win that. I know Wuthering Waves and Genshin were also nominated, but Zenless is my game. Shame on you, Gooners. You did not vote hard enough. You didn't vote hard enough for Zenless, and we're not going to get any extra polychromes. Which sucks, because we really need them. Because Miyabi's coming out tomorrow. Version 1.4 launches tomorrow, and I really need more polychromes. You didn't vote hard enough for Zenless, and we're not going to get any extra polychromes. Which sucks, because we really need them. Because Miyabi's coming out tomorrow. Version 1.4 launches tomorrow, and I really need more polychromes. So, Black Myth Wukong. Again, that's a game I was interested in playing, because it looked really good. There was one thing I wanted to address concerning the Game Awards and Black Myth. A lot of people online complaining that a certain game won Game of the Year and pretty much swept the awards when Black Myth Wukong should have won. But apparently, they weren't the saltiest ones. The saltiest ones were the ones who made Black Myth Wukong. Because while a game that I will get into in a minute won Game of the Year, the creators of Black Myth Wukong, or a creator, was a couple of sources, including Alana Pierce, who apparently saw it happen. So, yeah, obviously she must be telling the truth. So, yeah. I mean, I get it, because this is obviously something you've worked hard on. This is a passion. This has been a big passion project of yours, something you've put a lot of work into, and it's not getting recognized the way you thought it would. I get it. But at the same time, I mean, it's a little bit dramatic. I don't know. I'm not in game design. It's probably just a matter of just all the emotions coming together at once, and you feel very sad that your game didn't get recognized as the Game of the Year. But you're still recognized by a lot of people There's a lot of play. You got a big player base. You got multi-fan base and gatekeepers on your side. You should be proud that you've got that. It proves that your game was good and popular, I guess. So you don't need to worry about game awards, really. I personally think, I'm going to contradict myself in a minute, but I personally think, okay, these awards don't really matter. They ultimately don't matter. You get nominated. I think if you get nominated, that means, yes, your game was good. The wider industry and the fans who vote on it think your game is good. You deserve a nomination. They vote for you. You're in. That means your game was good. That's all you really need. And for everyone who's sad and salty that their favorite game didn't get awards, again, ultimately it doesn't matter. I watched the awards with my brother, and he was pretty... I wouldn't say he ruined the experience for me, but it was a bit... He carried on a bit. Only because FF7 didn't win as many awards as it should have. It won Score and Music, which is probably the one it most deserved, but that was it. Again, doesn't matter. You don't need to win awards to enjoy games. You don't need to win awards to prove that you have made a good game. I'm about to contradict myself in a minute, but yeah, that's the situation with that. So it's okay, Black Myth Wukong guy. It's probably it's very emotional, but at the same time, you know, it's not spilled milk, you know. Next up is Metaphor ReFantazio. Metaphor won a bunch of awards: Best Narrative, Best Art Direction. What else have we got here? I've got a list here: Best RPG, and Metaphor won a bunch of awards: Best Narrative, Best Art Direction. What else have we got here? I've got a list here: Best RPG, and a couple of other things. I think it was nominated for a bunch of awards. This is a game I really want to play. A game that's very, very good. A game that sold 1 million copies in its first day. Probably the best Shin Megami Tensei / Persona game ever made. And it's not even part of that series. So, congratulations to Atlas. You've clearly made something really good here, and I really need to actually sit down and play it. So, I will get around to it someday. Metaphor ReFantazio, apparently very, very good. I will find out for myself. Next up, Balatro. Again, another game that I wasn't very interested in. I was like, it's okay. Won Best Indie Game, Debut Indie Game, and Best Mobile Game. Which again, I don't even know how any of the games run on mobile. I don't play Hoyo games on mobile because I don't want to fry my phone. But apparently Balatro plays really well on the mobile. So yeah, good on you for that. Apparently it's a really good game. It's really good, and it's addictive as well. And I think that's what you want in a game. It's just like a card game where it's like, okay, the meta, and people are really complaining about the meta. It's like, oh my god, what do I do? What's the best strategy here? I can't really complain. I can't really talk about these games as much as I probably want to because I haven't played any of them. Because like I said at the top of the show, I'm broke. I can't afford games from my PS5. So I play Zenless Zone Zero. And that's all I do. But I will get around to playing the games eventually. And I will get back. So I play Zenless Zone Zero. And that's all I do. But I will get around to playing the games eventually. And I will get back to you on that. But Balatro, cool. And lastly, the one that quote-unquote swept the awards, even though it didn't really win that many. It won just as many as the other ones. Best Family, Best Direction. Pretty sure that was it. And of course, Best Action Adventure. And ultimately, Game of the Year, Astrobot. And I think this is a very good thing. Astrobot looks great, plays great, and is a ton of fun. And Sven, I don't know his last name, the director of Baldur's Gate 3, who came incredibly fun to play, is not bound by sales targets or by the whims of executives who don't know what they're doing, and the developers don't get punished for not meeting sales targets or anything like that. It's ultimately a game, and I said this after it came out. I said it was a game made by a tightly knit studio that came together. Well, they originally came together because Sony tanked Japan studio, and Team Asobi. I'm pretty sure they absorbed a ton of people from Japan studio. They're a tightly knit studio that cares about making games that are fun to play, that pay homage to the love and the passion of gaming. Hence, there's tons of people complain saying, Astro Bot's just an advertisement for Sony. You don't understand. People don't understand what a homage is. People don't understand what paying dues to. It's the 30th anniversary of PlayStation. I think this is the perfect game to have come out for that occasion. Paying homage to the PlayStation's past. There's a ton of franchises in there. Just great Easter eggs. They don't sour the experience. That you don't have to pay for anything. They're just unlockable costumes in a game that are based on, hey, that character's pretty cool. Like, fucking Kiryu is in there from Yakuza. And there's a whole camera, like, you can get the red gate from Kamurocho, and that's fun. It's like, hey, this is a cool thing. Sometimes references are fine. References and Easter eggs are okay. If they're done, like, you can get the red gate from Kamurocho, and that's fun. It's like, hey, this is a cool thing. Sometimes references are fine. References and Easter eggs are okay if they're done in context, if they're done to celebrate something, if they're done to honor something, if they're done in the context of describing what kind of experience you want. You want to pay homage to video games and why we love them and why we're passionate about them and why the people who make them are passionate about them. And a studio, and they're supported by a studio, by a publisher, by a company that has supported them. Granted, they destroyed Japan studio and absorbed, and a bunch of people were absorbed and stuff like that. But it's clear that this was a game made purely for passion. This was a game made purely for fun. And that's why I think it deserves Game 3. This was the perfect game to send a message saying, hey, ultimately, the best games are the ones that are made with love, that are made with just fun in mind. And I think one of the guys from Team Asobi said this was like a game in the hands of children. And yeah, because ultimately video games are for children. Like, I hate to break this to you. I'm a 32-year-old man, but even I will admit it. Yes, there are games that are clearly designed for adults, but ultimately games are things that are fun for kids to play. Especially games like Astrobot. Like, this game wasn't designed for you, adults. It wasn't designed for us. This was a kid game. Granted, they probably wouldn't understand half the references in it. To teach them about these things. To teach them, hey, this was a game I played when I was a kid. And share that with them. That's what it's for, I think. And again, sends a perfect message. This deserves Game of the Year for the message it sends, ultimately. And another message it sends, bring back 3D platformers. We need 3D character fun platformers back because they're a great genre. And they even said in the speech, we did this, we thank Nintendo. I mean, they didn't specifically mention Nintendo by name, but they were like, Super Mario Brothers is the fucking greatest game ever made. we made that with this in mind. We made this with that in mind. And we thank Nintendo, again, not mentioning them by name, but we thank you for paving the way for games. And we thank Nintendo, again, not mentioning them by name, but we thank you for paving the way for games like this. Bring back 3D platformers. They're great. And they deserve to be in... They deserve to come back. Okay, no more... I mean, we got tons of RPGs. We got tons of action-adventure game, big cinematic action-adventure games. Quadruple A experiences. And shooting games. Bring back the classic stuff. That's all I'm caring about. That's all I care about. Because I would happily play more 3D platformers. So congratulations to Astrobot. Totally deserve Game of the Year. And I will play you at some point. I'll play Metaphor. I'll play Black Myth Wukong. I'll play Astrobot. I don't know. But if it is, I might check it out. I might check out Balatro just to see what it's about. So those are all the winners. There was also some esports categories, but they all went to League of Legends. So I don't care. Moving on to the real reason why people watch the Game Awards, and that's for the announcements. Now, I'd be here for a month of Sundays if I went over all the announcements. This is not what this podcast is about. Technically, this is an anime podcast. So I shouldn't even be talking about video games, but I'm an otaku man failure. This is the Otaku Man Failure podcast, and being part of an otaku is also enjoying video games. Or rather, the Western definition of what an otaku is. You like anime, you like manga, you like Japanese culture, and part of Japanese culture is video games. So we're going to talk about video games today. I'm going to talk about the announcements that I gave a shit about. I'll be here for a month of Sundays. I'm going to talk about the announcements that I gave a shit about. I'll be here for a month of Sundays if I talked about everything. Go read an IGN article. Or actually, go read any other gaming website's article. Don't listen to IGN. Okay, they give everything a 7 out of 10. They probably gave the Game Awards a 7 out of 10. So I'm going to talk about the things that I cared about personally, the things that interested me, or the things that seemed important to me and to my fellow weeb audience. The first thing I'm going to talk about, and this is the thing I actually care about the most, the thing that got me in, the thing that locked me into this Game Awards, the thing that got me hyped, was the double whammy from RGG Studio. Oh man. Firstly, we're finally getting a new Virtua Fighter, which is sick. I haven't played Virtua Fighter. Oh man. Firstly, we're finally getting a new Virtua Fighter, which is sick. I haven't played Virtua Fighter because I have played Virtua Fighter, but I wasn't a Virtua Fighter player back in the day because I didn't have a Sega. Actually, no, we did. We had a Sega Saturn. But I don't think we had Virtua Fighter. I've always been a Tekken player. And I've played a bit of Virtua Fighter. I've played Virtua Fighter in Yakuza. Because you can play the old Virtua Fighter games in Yakuza. But I've also played a bit of Ultimate Showdown as well. Ultimate Showdown was done by RGG Studio. They are handling Virtua Fighter from now on. I think there's a separate team working on it. Because I think their RGG Studio are working with the main Virtua Fighter team at Sega to make the Virtua Fighter games from now on. They've transformed the game. They've given it the Street Fighter 6 treatment, where they've sort of transformed the game, updated the aesthetic. The trailer had Akira in it, in this new brooding sort of outfit he was wearing. I think they've also updated they've made it a little bit faster, because the Virtua Fighter games, even Virtua Fighter 5 Ultimate Showdown was it was kind of slow, kind of blocky in its movements. It wasn't as free flowing as Tekken is, but I think they've updated it a little bit. They're still going to keep with the technical aspect, because I think it's still the most technical fighter out there, but they're sort of making it a little bit faster, which is cool. And if that wasn't enough from RGG Studio, oh, they also announced Virtua Fighter 5 Revo for PC, and some stuff to do with that. They did a direct presentation a couple of hours after the Game Awards finished, saying, right, this is what's happening with Virtua Fighter. We're doing a Steam version called Revo, which I think is going to be like the sort of the one that people are going to be playing for a little bit until VF6 comes out. We're doing some stuff for Ultimate Showdown, so that's cool. So Virtua Fighter is officially back, guys. It's back. But if that wasn't enough, immediately after that, they decided to drop a second trailer that I didn't think was RGG Studio right until the end when they put the logo up. It's 1915 Japan. I thought, okay, this is pre-war, or the first year of the war. I was like, this kind of plays like Yakuza, but it's clearly like an action brawler, a violent action brawler. And then I was like, oh, what's this? And then they showed the logo. And as soon as they showed the logo, I was like, oh my god, is this a new Yakuza game? It's called New Yakuza game. It's called Project Century. It doesn't have a title. We know nothing about it other than it's being made by RGG Studio. And it plays like a Yakuza game. We don't even know if it's an officially Yakuza game or if this is part of a new franchise. I mean, which would be cool. It would be cool if if RGG Studio did a new franchise besides Yakuza, or Like a Dragon. I call it Yakuza because I'm old school. I'm always going to call it Yakuza. I know the games have very little to do with Yakuza now, because one, while Kiryu was only a Yakuza for the first chapter of Zero and the first chapter of Yakuza 1, and all the time between the end of Zero and the start of 1, he was a Yakuza, and for the rest of it, he truly never was. But I'm going to call it that anyway. So, yeah, I don't know if this is a new franchise. That's great. It would be cool if it was a Yakuza game. Pre-war Yakuza game set. Maybe that's why it's called Project Century, because it's like 100 years. Maybe they're in Kamurocho, or that's what Kamurocho looked like before the war. I'm pretty sure after World War II, Kamurocho, or Kabukicho was what it's based on, got completely torn to the ground, and they rebuilt it as the Kabukicho we all know and love today, and what the games are based on. So I don't know if it's going to be a Yakuza game. It would be cool if it is. I don't even know if it, because they did talk about a new engine as well. They want to kind of move on from the Dragon engine. It's been a while since they made the Dragon. If it is, I don't even know if it, because they did talk about a new engine as well. They want to kind of move on from the Dragon engine. It's been a while since they made the Dragon engine. I think Yakuza 6 was the first game that had the Dragon engine in it, or rather a sort of prototype for the Dragon engine. That came out in, pretty sure that came out in 2015 for the PS4 in Japan. It came out in 2016, 2017. Or it might have come out later. I can't remember, but it came out around that time for the PS4. And then Yakuza Kiwami 2, which was the remake of the second game, that came out next, and that was the Dragon engine fully made and fully utilized. So it's been a while. It's been a few years. So, and they've made a lot of games in that time. Yakuza brings out maybe 1 or 2 games a year at this point. And that also is a testament to their work ethic as well, which is crazy. But that's in the Dragon engine, so I don't know if Project Century has that in mind, if it's a new engine. We'll find out. We'll find out answers to all the questions when RGG Studio decides to reveal them. Safe to say, I am 100% hyped. That's just my water bottle, by the way. I am 100% hyped for whatever this game is, and I'm looking forward to it. First, we'll get through the Pirates game, because that's also going to be super fun. But the future is ours to behold. Right, next up, Clive from Final Fantasy XVI is the guest character for Season 1 of Tekken 8. I wasn't expecting that. I mean, I was expecting a guest character because they announced it at the Game Awards and not at the Tekken World Tour Finals. They said, right, that we're releasing a trailer for a bunch of new stuff for Season 2. We know that we're releasing a trailer for a bunch of new stuff for Season 2. We know Anna's going to be in Tekken 8 soon, so look forward to that. But we'll reveal the final character at the Game Awards. And I was immediately like, right, it's going to be a guest character. And the way they did it was weird because it wasn't this big announcement. It was like, oh, here's this announcement from a long-running acclaimed RPG franchise. And then they showed some FF16 stuff. And I was like, okay, is this an expansion or something? And then Jin showed up. And I was like, what? Clive is the guest character in Tekken 8. I mean, hey, it's pretty cool. Forget the fact that he plays kind of like Noctis. Forget the fact that, and this is the thing that people rattled on, he's not Tifa. I get it. Y'all wanted Tifa for Tekken. My brother especially, I'm pretty sure he was just like, he didn't care about the rest of the show after that was announced. It's not Tifa. Clive probably belongs in a Soul Calibur game, but they're not doing any of those anymore, so who cares? But hey, he actually plays pretty cool. I've seen some stuff. This is probably going to be a good time. Clive is FF16 is the it thing right now. I know FF7 just got done with Rebirth, but yeah, Clive looks pretty cool. If they're going to do Tifa, I reckon they're going to do it when the third game comes out. When FF7 Remake 3 is released, not only will Tifa be like... I feel FF7 Remake 3, the third game, it's going to be the return of the king of video game. Claimed one that sweeps all the awards, because remember, Return of the King won like 11 Academy Awards. It won everything. It swept the Oscars. It was the one that's like the most remembered. It's the one that's the most acclaimed. And it's the one that's got the most attention. I feel like FF7 Remake 3 is going to be that. It's going to be the one that gets all the recognition. It's going to be the one that gets all the awards. It's going to be the one that gets the hype because it is the end. It is the final game of this trilogy. It is the one that everyone's going to remember forever. And I feel if you're going to introduce Tifa into Tekken, that would be the time to do it. Granted, that's not going to happen until 2026, 2027 at the earliest. But it will probably be towards the end of Tekken 8's life cycle, around Season 3 or Season 4. But, again, this game, the one that it's going to take a lot of work to get her in. It's the one that everyone wants. It's the one that everyone's been waiting for. It's going to be the big one towards the end of the game's life cycle. That's going to be the big thing. So, just because there's a Final Fantasy character in it now, doesn't mean there can't be a second one. They added both Cloud and Sephiroth to Smash. So, hey, why can't Final Fantasy have two characters in Tekken? I'm just saying. There's plenty of time. It's not over yet. So Clive in the meantime looks cool. All right, now we've done that. I've done the important things. Let's go through some stuff. Oh, actually, no. Before I get to that, before I get to just leading down the list, there's a couple more things that I want to talk about. The Hoyo stuff first. Zenless Zone Zero, I want to talk about. The Hoyo stuff first. Zenless Zone Zero soft dropped version 1.5. We're getting 2 new characters. They had the trailer for Astra. She looks beautiful. She's one of the idol characters that they've sort of been advertising. For those who don't know, they've been advertising a bunch like virtual idol characters, sort of like leaking, or there's been leaks about them. They formally announced Astra and Evelyn, who are going to be part of this idol faction. And it's heavily implied they'll be introduced in 1.5. Astra's an Ether support, And Evelyn, who's the character that I really, really want now, is fire attack. And she looks stunning. Well, they both look gorgeous. Evelyn, oh my god. Like, damn. I don't want to turn this into a Guna podcast, alright? I'm not going to turn this into a Zenless podcast, but I could go on. I've seen some footage in game of Evelyn, and I'm just like, girl. That's it. We're getting, what else? Honkai Star Rail, we're getting a new region, version 3. They're moving on from Penacony, they're moving on to a new thing. I also heard they're doing a thing. They're doing a physical edition, a physical limited edition for PS5, which I think is pretty cool. Wuthering Waves is coming out on January 2nd for PS5, which I'm really looking forward to, because I'm like, yes, I can play this game now, because I don't want to play games. One, I don't have a PC. I have this crappy little laptop that can't play anything, that can't run anything, that can't do anything, so I'm not going to play any games on it. And I'm not going to play games on my phone, because it won't run like I want them to. I will wait for these games to come out on console. And Wuthering Waves is coming out on January 2nd, so I don't even have to wait that long into the year. That's cool. I'll finally get to play that. There's a game called Screamer. It's like this anime style. I thought it was like a Burnout game at first, because it reminded me of Burnout Revenge, which on the PS2, which is one of my favorite games of all time. It kind of has that aesthetic, but it's very anime. I don't even know what it's releasing on. It's called Screamer. It looks cool. Solo Leveling Arise. I think that's already a game, but there's new content for it. I didn't even know Solo Leveling had a game, but it does now. When are we gonna get to the incest stuff? When are we gonna get to the sister leveling? That's my question. Man, I just want to bring that up firstly. That abridged series has completely ruined. I feel like that abridged. Man, I just want to bring that up firstly. That abridged series has completely ruined. I feel like that abridged series has completely ruined whatever context Solo Leveling was going for, because all it's talking about now is incest, sister leveling. The anime boys, shout out to you guys. I think you may have ruined Solo Leveling, for better or for worse. Shout out to you. Double Dragon Revive. Double Dragon looks cool. Okay, the Mecha Break got a release date, which is actually pretty cool, because I kind of want to play Mecha Break. Cathley, which was I think it's a survival battle royale with cats. It's basically Fortnite with cats, I think. I don't know. We got, that's nothing like that, but I think they said First Berserker was also in the DNF universe, but the one I want to talk about is Arad, Dungeon and Fighter. It's a Genshin. It's a Hoyo. I love this idea that everyone is making these big, like, presumably free to play. This game will be free to play, but they're making these big, sprawling anime action adventure RPG free to play games with anime characters to goon to, and free movement and fighting and gacha mechanics. It's essentially, all these developers are looking at Hoyo and saying, I want that money. That's it. Everyone wants Hoyo money. Literally all of the money. And developers want that slice of the pie. I feel like that's going to be the future, because Genshin especially was so successful that everyone is going to copy that. And I don't know how the mainstream is going to feel about that, because they're just going to look at that free-to-play gacha anime game, yuck. But for me, for people who are interested in that, it could be fun. I know there's the other two games. There's the Project Mugen. the Project Mugen one, which looks really cool, and Neverness to Everness, which is the other one. They're basically the same. It's like they're kind of like taking the Hoyo style game and turning it into GTA, where you can do things, and you can drive cars. Neverness to Everness actually looks really cool because that's more of a like sort of more gritty cyberpunk style, whereas Project Mugen is more like colorful. And there's also like you can buy a house, you can do all these other mini games and activities, you can drive a car, you can also whiz around the town like Spider-Man. Yes, get that in me. That's everything that Genshin didn't give me. All the things that I love about, all the type of game that I love about Genshin Impact, and to a lesser extent Honkai Star Rail, because I haven't really played much of it, even though I said I was gonna. But that, just give me that in a city where I can do whatever the fuck. I'll play it. I don't care about GTA, but I'll play this. I played a lot of Saints Row. I love Saints Row. GTA, but I'll play this. I played a lot of Saints Row. I love Saints Row. I will liken it more to that, especially Neverness to Everness, because that's more of like a sort of Saints Row style, I think. But it could be goofy, like Project Mugen could be goofy and fun like Saints Row. But I'm looking forward to those two games. I know Project Mugen's coming out for PS5. They haven't said anything about Neverness, what consoles it's coming on, when it's getting released. But they both look pretty cool. And Arad Dungeon and Fighter is pretty much one of those. It's another one of those games. Could be fun. Let's find out. Steel Paws, which is from Yu Suzuki, who has crawled out of the hole that he puts himself into whenever his games suck. We didn't see him for 20 years after Shenmue 2. Then he came out with Shenmue 3. And that also was terrible. And so he crawled back into the hole that he puts himself into whenever his games suck. We didn't see him for 20 years after Shenmue 2. Then he came out with Shenmue 3. And that also was terrible. And so he crawled back into the hole that he came out of. That he disappears to when we don't really need him. Sorry if that puts that too harshly. But he's making a game called Steel Paws for Netflix Games. It's like a little cat shooter thing. That's all I know. One Move Away. It's another one of those cozy games where you move stuff, where you do things. It's kind of like Unpacking, but it's the 3D first-person one where you're packing a car, supposedly to move to another house. Yeah. Cozy games like that, fine. More of those. Rematch, which is probably the sort of silent, the quiet game where I'm like, hey, the art design's very reminiscent of Sifu, very free-flowing, very cool looking. I'm looking forward to that. Shadow Labyrinth, I've got here Shadow Labyrinth, a Pac-Man thing. It's a Pac-Man, it's a dungeon crawler, but you have a giant evil shadow Pac-Man eating things. I'm pretty sure this is based off that Secret Level thing. Secret Level is a show on, I think it's Netflix, or I honestly don't care, but it's just a bunch of, they took a bunch of games and they made like little short video like movies set in their universes. And I'm pretty sure half of them were strictly teasers / advertisements for games that are upcoming. Turns out the Pac-Man episode was a teaser for this game, Shadow Labyrinth. They also did one on Concord, which is the one that everyone rattled on about. Think Pac-Man eating. Sonic, Ninja Gaiden Ragebound. Hey, this is pretty cool. I think this was the first announcement. So Dotemu, the guys who made Blasphemous, they're partnering with Koei Tecmo to make a 2D 16-bit Ninja Gaiden platformer. This is a cool thing. This is a very cool thing. I love when game developers bring back old franchise, like indie developers, they bring back old franchises and they show them a lot of love and they make fun games. They did that with Streets of Rage. They did that with River City Ransom. The River City Girls games are pretty good. They did that with Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. They made Shredder's Revenge. Turns out maybe it's just side-scrolling beat-em-ups that are just really cool. We need more of that. That's another genre we should bring back. Side-scroll beat-em-ups. So this is a good thing. Sonic Racing Crossworld. Sonic Racing Crossworlds, which is another thing. They teased Shadow. Shadow's going to be in it. Probably because the movie's coming out soon. Movie's coming out in a couple of weeks, actually. Or a week and a half, actually. I forgot. I'm recording this on the 17th. You'll see it on the 20th. I'm recording this on the 17th. So anything that happens between now and then, when this releases and you listen to it, I don't know. I can't predict the future. But from where I am, it's coming out in a week and a half. It's coming out on the 26th. So super hyped for that. We'll talk about Sonic 3 on an episode of the podcast. I'll maybe do like a non-spoiler bit about Sonic 3. Onimusha's coming back. Dude, this is cool. This is a very cool thing. Is it just me, or did Capcom secretly cook about Sonic 3? Onimusha's coming back. Dude, this is cool. This is a very cool thing. Is it just me, or did Capcom secretly cook? They're secretly cooking with this Game Awards. Because not only are we getting a new Onimusha, we're getting the Okami sequel. And that was like it wasn't the end announcement, it wasn't the last announcement of the night, but it was one of the last announcements of the night. Okami 2. And it's being done by Hideki Kamiya. And my question is, how the frick did Platinum fumble so hard that he's crawling back to the studio he left 20 years ago to make Okami 2? Like, literally, Capcom fumbled Hideki Kamiya and he made Platinum, and he made a bunch of cool games. I don't know. How many people is he going to block on Twitter now for Okami 2? Whatever. We got So Capcom secretly ruled this thing. Because Onimusha and Okami are both coming back. These are very cool things. Kunitagami was really good. Street Fighter was really good. Capcom are having a time right now. They really are. Probably only second to Sega, because Sega are having the biggest of times. Because Yakuza is cooking, Sonic is cooking, Persona, SMT, Metaphor, they're all cooking. Atlas is cooking in general. They're getting millions of sales in the first 24 hours of release. We got Sonic 3. Sega are killing it right now, honestly. And Capcom might be doing it as well. They're saying they want to bring back a bunch of long forgotten right now, honestly. And Capcom might be doing it as well. They're saying they want to bring back a bunch of long forgotten, popular, dormant IPs. They're really focusing on, we want to rebuild. When are they going to bring back Breath of Fire? That's my question. And Sega are also doing that with a bunch, like with Jet Set Radio, with Crazy Taxi, but apparently things aren't going as well with that. I don't know. But yeah, bring back these old dormant IPs because they're hot commodities. They'll be hot commodities because people love nostalgia and they will love these games if you bring out new versions. We've got speaking of bringing back dormant stuff, let's talk about Fumito Ueda and Gen Design. So Gen Design were basically the studio made by Fumito Ueda, and he went to form Gen Design. This is their new game. It's called Project Robot. Doesn't have a name. Didn't really say anything about it. But they're making a game. They're making like a gritty sci-fi thing. So I look forward to that. Mafia, the Old Country, which was pretty much like, yes, they're going to be showing this off at the Game Awards. It's basically early 20th century Sicily. And I have Sicilian blood. I am Maltese. I have Maltese heritage, but apparently our family goes back to Sicily. So, as far as I know, as far as I'm concerned, I am a red-blooded Sicilian. And you know all the stories about Sicilians and the mafia. Some some bad dudes, some bad dudes, some real gabagoos, you know? Some wise guys, some really violent guys. This game's going to be really violent, I feel. But old school Sicilian mafia shenanigans might be fun. Might be a good game to play. Look forward to that. Split Fiction, a game from Joseph Fares and Hazelight. So the guys who made It Takes Two, A Way Out, both good games. They're making another one, Split Fiction. This looks really good, and I'm probably going to play it because I played a bit of It Takes Two with a buddy of mine, and in the little time I played it, it was really fun. It looked really good, and it probably, again, deserved Game of the Year when it won it because, hey, it's a fun game. A bit of It Takes Two with a buddy of mine, and in the little time I played it, it was really fun. It looked really good, and it probably, again, deserved Game of the Year when it won it because, hey, it's a fun game that people love playing. So I will have to find someone. I'll probably get my buddy to play Split Fiction with me because apparently you only need one copy of the game for you and a buddy to play it if you're playing online, which I think is such a good thing that Hazelight have done with these. You don't both of you don't need copies of the game. Only one of you needs a copy of the game if you want to play it online. Playing it local, it's fine, but playing it online, only one of you needs it. The other can join in and play it at any time. I think that's a fucking great idea, and more games need to do that. And Split Fiction and It Takes Two and A Way Out, they're such unique games. Like, you turn it up to 11 and revolutionize it, especially with the narrative. Fucking great. More of these. I will play Split Fiction. I'll probably convince my buddy to play it with me because he played It Takes Two, played A Way Out. We'll play Split Fiction. And I think the last thing is Dispatch. The last thing I got on my list is called Dispatch. I couldn't tell half the time if this was a game or a TV show, but I think it's a game that's made to look like a TV show. It's made by the guys who made A Wolf Among Us and Tales from the Borderlands, so a bunch of old Telltale guys. So it's clearly modeled to look like a TV show, and it's about the people who, it's about the dispatch who send superheroes out to do superhero stuff. And it's just like an office comedy set around the world of superheroes. And there's a bunch of great voice talent in it. Alana Pierce is in it. Moist Critical's in it. Jacksepticeye's in it. A whole bunch of people are in it. This is probably going to be fun. Might have a look at it. Because I played Tales from the Borderlands. I think that's a really great game. I also played the Batman games for Telltale. I also played the Game of Thrones game, but I hate that game with a passion. But, like, seriously, don't get me started on Telltale's Game of Thrones. It is one of the most insufferable, miserable, fucking rage-inducing experiences I've had in a game. But Telltale is still a pretty good studio when they're on their A game. So this game will be good, I feel. I will check it out. So, yeah, that was the Game Awards. Bunch of cool stuff. There was a bunch of other games, but I do not care. I do not care about Naughty Dog because Neil Druckmann is an asshole. Naughty Dog because Neil Druckmann is an asshole. I do not care about Borderlands because Randy Pitchford is an asshole. I do not care about shooters because the people who play them are typically assholes. I'm just kidding. If there's any shooter fans out there, I don't mean you specifically. Continue listening to the podcast. Please support the channel. Thank you for listening. But you know, shooting games and their reputations. That's what I'm talking about. So I don't care about the games I didn't mention. Don't care. Won't seek them out. They're not for me. I'm not saying they're bad. I'm not saying you're bad for liking them. I'm just saying I personally don't care. You want to hear more about them and the opinions on them? Go listen to another podcast or go to a website or a YouTube video that talks about these games. I told you my feelings on, okay, that was his opinion. Cool. Well, that's fine. And just move on with your lives and don't argue about it. Because ultimately the Game Awards don't care. They don't matter. Just enjoy the games you like and have fun with them. And don't be pissed off that your games won awards or didn't win awards. And for the love of God, don't complain online that games are getting woke just because they have, God forbid, a bald Asian woman as the protagonist, or literally any type of woman as the protagonist. Case in point, The Witcher 4. I don't know why people are pissed off that Ciri is the protag. She's been training to be a Witcher. She's been a character throughout the whole canon. Geralt retired at the end of The Witcher 3 and she's been training to be a Witcher. She's been a character throughout the whole canon. Geralt retired at the end of The Witcher 3 and gave her his swords. She was clearly going to be his successor. I don't know why you're bitching about Ciri being the protag of The Witcher 4. This was destined to happen. Seriously, y'all need Jesus. Like, don't complain about these things. Games are woke just because a female you have to play as a female. For the love of God. It's not that serious. Seriously. Surprised people don't complain about Pokemon being woke. You've been able to play as a girl for 20 years. You don't have to, but it gives you the option. Just because you're forced to play as a woman? Who cares? It's just a game. This is the story. You don't care? Don't play it. Just because you're forced to play as a woman? Who cares? It's just a game. This is the story. You don't care? Don't play it. Don't complain online that everything's becoming woke. I don't even freaking know what woke means anymore. That word has just completely lost all context. And lost all meaning. None of it matters anymore. Games... I did mention that games shouldn't push an agenda. They should just be fun. But half these games aren't trying to push agendas. They're just stories. Don't take it too seriously. Seriously. Touch some grass. Have a shower. Play games because they're fun. Play games because they tell good stories. Play games because games are fun to play. Play games so you can escape from the dumpster fire that is the real world. That's what games are ultimately designed to do. Treat them as... So dumb. So dumb. Anyway, that's my rant about the Game Awards over. Ultimately, I think the show was great. The announcements, there's a bunch of games I'm looking forward to. There's more games I'm going to add to my backlog. Ultimately, the Game Awards were fine. I was locked in because they just happened to announce something that I am hyped for. And ultimately, the awards were a message saying the gamers industry needs to change fundamentally, and we need to recognize games that are in it purely for the love of games. And the people who make those games matter, and we need to emphasize these people, and we need to give them the recognition they deserve. Not the executives. It's all about the people who make them and the people who play them. They're the most important people. So, that is the Game Awards. Done. I've realised we've gone over our normal hour-long runtime. But that's because it's the Game Awards. It's important. And I wanted to talk a lot about these things. But hey, it's the silly season. It's Christmas time. We should be festive. We should be having fun. We should be remembering what's good about things. And we should be forgetting all the misery or the depression, or the bad things, especially myself. I usually get really salty around this time of year because we're basically running out of joy. Slowly running out of joy. I'm trying to slowly latch on to the childlike joy that I had for Christmas. I'm holding on to it and I'm not letting it go. Because it's all I go. With that in mind, I'm going to five recommendations for Christmas viewing that I've come up with from the top of my head right now. 5 things you should watch to get you in the festive spirit. To really emphasize how fun Christmas is. That I've come up with right now. They may or may not be anime related. Most of them aren't. Number 1. The greatest Christmas movie of all time, Die Hard. Watch Die Hard. It is about a man at a Christmas party who is a hero who saves a bunch of people, who learns the meaning of love and learns the meaning of togetherness, and the spirit of Christmas enters the meaning of love and learns the meaning of togetherness, and the spirit of Christmas enters his heart, and he is a hero who saves people in trouble on Christmas. It is the perfect Christmas movie. Watch Die Hard. That's what I'll be doing. Number 2, Tokyo Godfathers. I want to actually sit down and watch Tokyo Godfathers. It is an anime Christmas movie. It's one that teaches you about the joy of love, the joy of Christmas, and is also a Satoshi Kon. Anything Satoshi Kon touches is gold. I will probably sit down and watch Tokyo Godfathers. Number 3, Fred Claus. Fred Claus is a great movie. I watch it every Christmas. It happens to be on TV every year. I sit down and I enjoy it. Fred Claus is a good movie. People don't like Vince Vaughn. I don't know why. I personally like, Kevin Spacey's in it. So, trigger warning for people who are still, hung up about that. But also Paul Giamatti's in it. Paul Giamatti is great. That balances out. Watch Fred Claus. Fun movie. Number 4. Watch Die Hard again. It deserves to be watched twice on Christmas because it's great. It's the greatest Christmas movie of all time. Therefore, you should watch it as many times as possible leading up to Christmas. And number 5 recommendation for enjoying Christmas. Just be kind to each other. It's probably my ultimate recommendation. There's a lot to be sad about. Trump. But there's a lot to be happy about. Things aren't good right now, but they could be a lot worse. And ultimately, we're reminded of the things we have. We have our health. We have family. Or hopefully we're healthy and we have family. There's still a lot of love that can be in our hearts. And we are still human. And there are still good things about us that we should be thankful for. That's my ultimate recommendation for enjoying Christmas. Don't let go of the Christmas spirit. Failing that, watch Die Hard a 3rd time. That will definitely give you the Christmas spirit. And number 6, there's a secret 6th entry in my list. Thank you for supporting my content in 2024. I kind of went viral this year. I released one teensy video that got a ton of views and got me a ton of subscribers. You guys know the one. Thank you. If you watch my content in 2024, if you're listening to the podcast, Thank you for... This isn't the last podcast of 2024. I'm doing one next week. That will be the last podcast. But I just want to say it now because it's before Christmas. Thank you for enjoying my content this year. 2025 will be bigger and better, and I'll actually stick to a schedule this time. That's it. That's my gift to you. My gift to you is me. And I am completely worthless. And I'll actually stick to a schedule this time. That's it. That's my gift to you. My gift to you is me. And I am completely worthless. So do with me what you will. If there are any mummy types out there, you can kindly step on me. Just saying. Anyway, I think that's going to do it for this elongated version of the podcast. Had a lot to talk about. Next week, I don't know what I'm doing. This is very stream of consciousness, like I said, but we'll figure it out along the way. All my links are down below. Follow me on Blue Sky. Follow me on my anime list. That's all I'm going to tell you. I don't really do Twitter and Instagram. I just released a video on my second channel, Vance. Go watch that content. I'm going to be doing some more content on there as the year ends, as the year wraps up. Also, yeah, follow my main channel. Keep following the podcast. My best of 2024 episode will be happening in early January, so look out for that. In the meantime, we'll just keep doing stream of consciousness and stuff like this. We'll find things to talk about. It was easy to find things to talk about this time because this was a very special occasion. But rest assured, I'm feeling better now, so I won't take a 2-week break this time, or hopefully I won't take a 2-week break this time. I will be back next week. Fingers crossed, knock on wood. Merry Christmas. Happy holidays for people who don't celebrate Christmas. They celebrate other things. And to those people, happy whatever it is you celebrate. But to everyone else, Merry Christmas. I'll see you guys next week. Thanks for watching. Like, share, subscribe, keep following the podcast, follow my socials, and that's it. Goodbye. Thank you. Auf Wiedersehen. Philippe's not your dad. And neither am I. Although